Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got a terrifying horn on it.
That's the terrifying horn?
Yeah, Friday night on a sidewalk in Times Square. It's hilarious. Hi, I'm Michael Patrick Thornton. I'm answering questions right now for And That's Showbiz. I currently play Lucky in the Broadway production of Waiting for Godot. We have it on good authority. Alex Winter, who plays Vladimir in the production, he went and talked to a lot of the actors who've done the show, and some of those actors hung out with Beckett, and Beckett insisted it was pronounced Godot. So that's good enough for us. What makes it very confusing is Beckett then would get real kind of pissy about people thinking the play was about religion, and he would say it has nothing to do with religion, and if that's the case, one would ask the question, well then why did you put the word God in the title? But he's dead, we can't ask him that. Jamie and I met on A Doll's House in 2023 on Broadway with Jessica Chastain. Jamie's the only director in my 25-year career who ever flew to Chicago to meet me. I figured he was meeting a bunch of other people. He was just flying to meet me. We had a lunch together, he had seen my tape, and then he offered me the role on the spot. He is like a Zen monk in terms of his efficiency and his minimalism. It's not a very talky, table worky kind of room. It's get up on your feet, so to speak, and try things. He gives me a wide latitude to experiment and to fail. And this process was full of failure for me and trying 30, 40, 50 different ways of doing this speech until finally we found it and we fell in love with it. But it takes a lot of trust to get to that place, and not everyone has that as a director. So I love him. You know, I was trained in Chicago by this guy, Sheldon Patinkin, who was like the Yoda of the Chicago theater community. It's like really kind of curmudgeonly Jewish guy who was around from the beginning of Second City, the beginning of Steppenwolf. He literally wrote the book on ensemble, and people would always ask him, is an ensemble only as good as its weakest link? And he would say, no, an ensemble is only as good as how well it can compensate for its weakest link, and the weakest link can change from night to night, scene to scene, or moment to moment. And I think about that quote a lot backstage because we all feel like we have each other's back. We don't want to let each other down. And the play demands such a rigorous attention to the moment and to detail that the moment you take your hands off the handlebars and try to coast a little bit, you crack up. And so you need somebody there to pick you back up. So in a play very much about waiting and loneliness and friendship, I'm really happy that the four of us have formed a very strong friendship indeed. I don't think I've been this nervous since like high school. I've done one-person shows before. I've done hour 12, hour 5-minute monologues before. They're exquisitely lonely and they're their own kind of beast, but you know, I've got through them and they remain kind of a highlight of the career. I don't know how long this monologue is, but every night it feels like Mount Everest. It's only now getting to a place where it's approaching the solar system of something like fun. But previews, I was just scared shitless. I mean, there's no way back into it if you take your eye off of it for a second, because it doesn't obey any kind of cogent grammatical structure from a sentence to sentence. There's no punctuation. And so it's sort of like landing a plane in a blizzard. It wants you to be free with one hand and the other hand firmly on the steering wheel. And I've never experienced that before with another playwright. So the amount of nerves was very surprising. And also the amount of fun I'm having. Like I usually go to the theater as an actor like a man going to his own execution. For whatever reason, the group, the part, most of my stuff is in Act 1, and then Lucky doesn't talk in Act 2. So I feel like by intermission, I'm like, all right, you know, and it is fun to do. You know, the assignment really isn't to, you know, break down crying or bear your heart out in a certain way. I mean, it is still very personal to me, but it's just asked for a different skill set, so it feels more like Second City or an improv show than Beckett, or at least I've tricked my brain into viewing it that way. You know, Beckett gets a reputation for being dour and kind of a buzzkill and very grave. I think the more time you spend with him, he's deliciously Irish, and I think he has a gallows sense of humor, and I think he's beckoning everybody to really live each day as if it's their last, to do the things you want to do, to not wait. But if you are stuck in a holding pattern and in a bit of a purgatorial existence, to count your blessings if you have a friend to wait with. And so I think live for the day and enjoy your friendships.
Ready to go to work?
No, but as we say in Chicago, speak before you're ready, exit before you're ready, and enter before you're ready. You guys have anything to add?
Yeah. I just want to see these guys racing after you.
So this is Gizmo. This is made by a company called Rio. I am not a spokesperson or paid ambassador. In fact, we reached out to them 2 years ago and they're like, no, we're good. And it's changed my life. It turns a manual wheelchair into an electrified trike. It'll offload my front two wheels so that I can drive it around like a motorcycle, basically. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's got a terrifying horn on it.
That's the terrifying horn?
Yeah. All right, guys, I'll see you later.
Have a great
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye. So you want to see how fast it goes?
Yes.
All right, well, let me get over this hump. Downhill, I've gotten at like 15, 17 miles an hour. Yeah. You know, Chicago, most of the work is non-equity, which is fantastic because you can really actually get on stage. you can, as opposed to just taking classes and getting lost in the shuffle, or getting lost and trying to get a good agent like that game. Like, you can really actually work. And Chicago, while it's a huge city, the theater community is still very much like a small town.
Yeah.
Like, we all still very much know each other and can recommend, each other to, what companies would be good for folks. And so I just think it's still the best city for when you're just starting and you want to have experience, as opposed to here, LA, you can really get lost. I came out to New York a couple of times before I was disabled. I came out in high school for a playwriting competition and came out for an acting competition. And I remember, just the excitement of how the city moved, and then coming back out as a wheelchair user without Gizmo. It was fun. It was frustrating, I felt like I couldn't keep up with the speed of the city and was kind of getting left behind. And then I found this thing, and it's amazing how your sense of independence can also change your point of view on an entire city. It's been a life changer. I mean, I'm door to door in 10 minutes. We've taken this from our place, and we're like Midtown West Hell's Kitchen, all the way down and across the Brooklyn Bridge. Bought a backup battery because a couple times it gets a little gnarly of if we're going to make it or not on what we have. But yeah, I love it. It clips onto most manual wheelchairs, and the company's called Rio. I'm not a spokesperson or anything like that, but check them out. Yeah, they're really great, the Jamie Lloyd company. So both with Doll's House and this one, they brought me into the process way early. Doll's House to talk about the thickness of the carpet and the turntable. With this one, it was about the angle of the tunnel, what would be easy for me to wheel up manually and what would not. Yeah, months before they started constructing anything, I was involved with some Zoom calls, and that's great because that's not usually the experience in the entertainment business. Usually you show up and they're just like, oh, can't you do that? And you're like, no, you dumbass. They make me feel that what I need in order to do my job isn't something that's annoying or an extra step, but rather a point of departure creatively. Like, what options does that get us to that we might not normally have arrived at if it was a non-disabled performer. So people can sense when you're in the room because someone needs to tick a box or something. And I've never ever sensed that with Jamie and Jamie Lloyd Company. And I've just always felt that the way I move through the world is only an inspiration for his creativity, and we fold that into the character, and that gets folded into the set design. And I mean, if that's not the definition of access, I don't know what is. It's gotten better, I say, with an asterisk on it. Disabled people are still the largest minority in the world and the least represented on stage and screen. Broadway's certainly changing. We had Ali Stroker and Madison Ferris, but we're still a woefully underrepresented demographic. What is cool are the conversations happening of what do you need? How do we make these very old, very small, antiquated spaces work? They've assembled a stair chair like the old lady in Gremlins at the theater for me. That's a lot of fun to ride up and down. I understand you can't tear out, walls of a 100-something-year-old theater, but the ways that they can improve it they are. You can't really change things without being willing to have potentially crunchy conversation. And as long as it's coming from a place of good faith, then we're good and we can make the changes we need. The utopian future of that would be that we wouldn't even have to use the word accessibility, because it would be an foregone conclusion that we already were, making space for everybody and celebrating everybody's uniqueness and having that be a cause for aesthetic celebration, as opposed to, sidelining an entire few generations of artists. Ask for what you need. Don't be afraid. Don't worry about you're going to be rocking the boat. Rock the boat. If you catch any get a hold of me. I got your back. We need you. And I know it doesn't seem like it, but it is getting better. And every day there's good people, disabled and non-disabled, who are waking up and rolling their sleeves up and trying to make this be the most fair and celebratory place to work on earth. So keep at it, be kind, work hard, and you'll be rolling through Times Square getting interviewed one day yourself.
Someone asks you, who is Michael Patrick Thornton? What do you like to say?
Who is he? I hope he's someone that takes the work seriously and himself not seriously. I hope he's someone who put the ladder down for the next generation as opposed to pulling it up. I hope he's someone who stuck up for the little guy and used his voice when he could for good. I hope he's someone who, as an actor, makes people feel in the dark a little less alone and a little more loved.
Can you tell us more about your saying there's only one? I love him so much.
Yeah, it's this weird thing I said when I was dying, right before I slipped into a coma. The Buddhists call it satori, I think is the word. It's like when the false world peels away and you kind of get a glimpse of how everything works. And it was just kind of this weird moment of an epiphany without knowing why it was profound, but it just seemed like this little message or something. It wasn't a sentence that would normally come easily to me as a 24-year-old, No shortage of examples of a paucity of love right now in the world, but I'd like to believe that everyone acts out of that interest. It's also a great template as an actor of whether you're playing the most evil character or not, they're always operating from a place of what they think is love and something that's going to make the world better for them. I don't know, it just feels like something that dilutes everything in a good way. It makes me realize what's important and what's not and how fragile things are. And so I think every great story is a love story, even if it doesn't look like a love story. I think that's sort of the central ingredient in every great work of art. I always just try to find that in my characters and as much as I can in any interaction that I'm having on a daily basis as well. We're all just people trying to get by and not feel so alone, And I'm always kind of hung up on this idea that out of all the things someone could do with their free time, the fact that they're going to come and sit in a theater or at home in front of their TV and see something that I'm involved in, it really blows my mind. And so that really motivates me. The older you get, you realize how precious time is, and it's the one resource you can't really buy. And so I don't take people's time lightly. I try to honor the gift of the audience's time by giving them the best possible show I can on a nightly basis. I gotta say the fan mail that I've gotten for this show has been very moving. The Reddit AMA of just hearing from young disabled artists was very moving as well. You never really know what effect you're having.
Who are some artists, past or present, that inspire you?
Philip Seymour Hoffman, Robin Williams, FK Twigs. This Jack Whitten exhibit we saw at MoMA was exquisite. Renee Magritte, Lee Krasner. I think her stuff is extraordinary. Alice Coltrane, Taraya Ramakrishna, a mainstay on the playlist. Bill Evans, too. Bill Evans has got me through some dark nights of the soul. That's Olivia.
Hello, Olivia.
And this is how we go in. Good.
Good, I'm glad. You bundled up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I got a minute left. Any last questions?
What's your pre-show routine? How do you get ready for a show once you arrive?
Cocaine and, no, I'm just kidding. I convince myself as long as possible that I'm not actually doing this play in front of 900 people. And then at a certain point, I actually have to go out there and do things. Olivia distracts me, and I look at my phone a little bit, and write some things in chalk on the wall and occupy my mind, and then the dreaded moment comes and you actually do what you're being paid for and what you've been dreamed you're going to do your entire life since you're a kid. So, it beats working for a living.
Do you know how old this theater is?
It's the oldest and the youngest theater on Broadway. So I don't know when, but I knew it was an adult movie theater for a while, its golden years. And then it became a theater with the Sondheim musical, Sunday in the Park with George, with Jake Gyllenhaal.
I think 1927 was the year that this theater opened.
Accessibility
I'll take
in
her
a
word.
theater from 1927.
I know.
It is
I know.
possible.
Well, because back then people like me were just thrown into the East River.
Well, there's that.
And on that note.